Today I will speak to my longtime friend Romek Lubaczewski. So I was thinking about how to present him, because everybody knows him anyway, but I have to say for formalities reasons that he is the partner at PwC responsible for the shared service centers consulting. Hello Romek, how are you?
Very good, my friend, very good.
I'm very glad that you came.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, of course, it was obvious. You must be in this round. Just directly jumping into the questions, and as you know, the subject is exceptionally not the GBS sector per se, but recruitment.
Yep.
And the first thing is that I wanted to ask you is what many people think and speak about when it comes to recruitment and to interviewing processes, that many candidates or also the hiring managers are being pushed to the limit. And this is quite an interesting thing. And I wanted to know if you have any experiences on that, maybe also some opinions as a candidate maybe, or maybe as a hiring manager, of being at the limits, of being pushed somewhere, of really, is this also making sense in the recruitment process?
Yeah. You gave me this snippet, you said push to the limit. I've been for a while thinking, and I was been thinking about push to the limit. I was trying to think, who did I interview that was either a disaster or I pushed them to the limit? But the best story I have is me being interviewed. Okay. Pushed to the limit in probably a very negative way, but a massive learning. We always say you learn from your mistakes. This is one of those, a life learning moment, because in a way it turned out badly, but I learned so much from it. So I'll tell you the story of what happened. So I'm in Lisbon working on a project, and we have a centre there, and they've offered me the job of leading the centre, director of the centre. I've never been a director before, this is my chance. So I'm extremely excited. My wife has been coming out to visit. We both love Lisbon, 2 years in Lisbon. Come on, guys, who wouldn't love this? So I'm excited. I think I've got a good chance, and I go for it. I walk in the room, guy sitting there, partner, known for 20 years. No next partner, no the next partner. I know all three, medium well, reasonably well, very well, and HR lead for the centre, who I don't know at all, a lady. So I'm very nervous. I go in and I'm now much calmer. So half the people I know, I'm thinking, this won't be so bad. They start asking me questions. I have to say it's going well. My great friend has asked me a number of questions, clearly knowing I'm going to give you the answer. So I'm kind of building myself up, feeling great, feeling quite relaxed. Next questions. The guys who know me asking me questions in my field of expertise. I'm doing well, more relaxed. HR lady asks me a question, answer it, another question, answer it, third time, and it's kind of the same question asked the three times, and I answer it again, and we move on, and I finish. And I think I've done well. I'd say more than 50%. I would actually say, walking out the room, I think I'm 70% chance of getting this job, which I felt great. So I go to the hotel, go to the restaurant. I know 2 hours later, my great friend joins me. We get 2 beers, sit down, and I go, how'd it go? You failed, you didn't get it. And I'm from up here to down here in a second. And you know what goes through your mind? Loads of things go through your mind, but obviously the first question that comes out of my mouth is, okay, what went wrong? Now he's a very good friend of mine, so he just went straight to the point. He said, questions 1 to 12, fantastic, killing us in the room, easy, you know what you're talking about. And then you get 3 questions from the leader of HR, and you answered them with no content of HR. So the lady says to you, what's the most important thing about a centre? And you said the client. What do you think she wants to hear, Romek? I go, people. And you go, okay, you didn't say people. So then she actually helps you by going, so maybe give me 2 or 3 other things that you think are important in running a centre. And I think point 5 or 6, you said people. So it's like so low down. And then she asked you another question, and again, you were completely off planet. And he said, mate, you were from here to here in the room. All of us voted no, because and this was the lesson I learned. I do know, and I do think the most important asset of the business are people. It's the only asset of our business. Only thing that is important are the people. But I was so into operations and sales and customers because I was thinking about these guys, that's what they want to hear. I actually got lost in my own success of answering these questions in the third dimension when the first dimension was more important. So instead of saying what I should have said, I said what I thought everyone wanted to hear and failed miserably. And I've taken that away. That was probably 20 something years ago, that interview. And I'll never forget that learning. And so my takeaway is always, when someone asks you a question, that's not just interview, but really in an interview, always think who's asking the question. Doesn't mean you give them the answer they want to hear. So you don't have to say people and HR, but don't ignore it either. You've got to find that balance. They're asking you, they do kind of want an answer. You're not doing yourself a favor ignoring it. Factor in the person who's asked the question. So that was I wish I could have given you a story about someone else, but unfortunately it was about me failing. Yeah.
These stories, when you are personally involved, are always the best ones. So
probably
thank you. Now, when we are still in this area of subjects, which is a little bit connected, of limits, of limitations, of failing, there is a subject that is currently also very much discussed in the business organizations generally, which is about diversity and how to overcome missing the diversity or generally like what to do, because we all know, and this is absolutely already fact, that we know diverse teams perform better. So now, as we know both, and you are of course the big guru and co-father of the GBS industry in Poland and maybe in CCE, this industry happens to be absolutely in the lead worldwide, being culturally diverse as you probably cannot more. Gender-wise also, if you take in general, the numbers and the statistics are almost 50-50. So something went nice. But have you got this feeling that you know why and what went nice?
No, I don't. I wish I did. If I did, I'd probably be worth millions or billions of dollars, but I don't know the answer. What I can know is tell you a little bit about the story. And I think that the answer to the question is in the story, but it's hidden in there. And there is no magic answer. So it's more of fate or nature. By nature, things happen. So let me start with the story, true story. In the very early days, over 20 years ago, one of the first projects I did, I needed 2 people who spoke Dutch. And we scoured the market, 3 agencies looking, 3 weeks later we had 2 candidates. I need 2 people, I got 2 candidates, fantastic.
What a choice.
What a choice, 2. And one of them cruised the interview, and then we did a language test from a phone in and cruised that as well. And it was a person I worked with for many years and a fantastic person, did a great job and probably is still doing a fantastic job. And the second person I didn't like in the interview, failed on the language, and both of us interviewing her didn't like her, and I had to hire her anyway. Why? I need 2 people who speak Dutch, and she speaks better than Dutch than everyone else. So you have poor Dutch is better than no Dutch. Yeah. And that's a story which actually happened. So when you think how has our industry grown to tens of thousands of people in the industry?
350,000. 400,000 now.
In the whole of Poland. But even if just in our little Krakow, that was in the day when there were 50 people in the whole industry. So when there were 50 people, 2 people, one of the 49 and number 50 were those people. I actually think that a little bit of that has happened, which is we're looking for very specific skills, often language, okay? And now more technical. And when we interview, you do the I like, not like, they're skilled, not skilled, okay? And the other way of looking at this, and I always reverse this, is I think we have a tendency when we interview people, you tend to like the person who's a bit similar to you in their style and what they do and how they structure all of this stuff. But then what you end up with 5 Romeks in your team, which has got to be some kind of nightmare. My wife would definitely agree. One Romek enough, 5 is bloody, don't even think 5. But we end up doing that, right? But you can't stop doing that. That's nature. That's us. That's human beings, right? But if you've only got 8 people to interview and you need to choose 5 and 3 of them don't speak the language, then you're not picking the guy because he doesn't speak Dutch. Thank you very much. So in a way, I think
You're
forced exactly
to hire people.
Forced
that you
sounds a bit
don't
wrong.
Like, maybe.
Not forced sounds a bit wrong. So it's not like you hate them, but I had to hire them. But it's much more that the key skill set you need isn't liking them.
Yeah.
The key skill set you need is that they can actually have the skill that you need, right? And therefore, nature means randomly your team is very diverse. And I'm a massive fan of the proof that a diverse team, different thinking, style, is much stronger than a team of 5 Romeks, yeah? Completely clear for me. You know, when there's a problem, 5 Romeks solve it in exactly the same way. 5 random people solve it completely differently. Which do you want? I want the guys who think differently. One time he gets it right, one time she gets it right. That's better. So diversity is magic. It's brilliant for our industry, brilliant. But I think a big part is because we have less choice, and therefore you're forced to take 5 French speakers, 2 are from France, 2 are from America, and 1 is from Brazil. Why? Because they have the best French. So you take them, they're diverse, you're naturally there, yeah?
So there was nothing like anybody said 30 years ago and said, we want now GBS industry to be diverse.
No. I would have been there if they said it, and no one said it to me. No.
Yeah, but it's a very good, I think it's a good lesson maybe to also other industries. I mean, not in general, because of course there will be some differences, but this idea of having to choose people by a certain skill set, of which known is that you like them. I think this is very good.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I think that actually kind of guarantees you better hiring, not being number one, I like them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's always true, but it's
yeah, of course. Now, okay, so this is very interesting, but I understand that probably our audience that will listen to this interview is also waiting for some kind of advice, especially from such a renowned authority. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm mostly thinking about an advice concerning interviewing, recruitment, taking part in the process. And you also mentioned a little bit of your bad adventures there, but now maybe thinking about positives. What would you advise to people that they would ask you, I'm having an interview tomorrow and I should prepare somehow?
Yeah.
Is there any secret recipe of being prepared well?
Yes, I think maybe not recipe, so this doesn't guarantee you success, but I think there's some rules, good rules. Number 1 for me would be honest. So don't think up an answer that you imagine the person asking it wants to hear from you if you don't believe it, yeah? So, you know, when this HR lady asked me, what's the most important thing? If I'd actually thought for a while, I would have said people. But I didn't, because I was so calm and cool. I thought, you know, clients, yeah?
Because you thought they want
I think that all of this group think this is more important, selling work.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that the HR lady obviously thinks it's about the people and they're more important. So I think you have to be honest yourself. So listen to the question, think about the honest answer you would give. Honest answer. You may need to adjust it a little bit, or better still, give the honest answer you would give and then add a little bit if you think you need to adjust it for who's asked the question. I think that's number 1, honesty. Really try and be honest. Because if you get the job, you've got the job for all the right reasons. Imagine if you were being dishonest and you get the job, what, you're going to lie now for 5 years? No. So honesty's got to be a part of it. I think the other one where I would take, where I've seen interviews go bad, and I've done lots of, not as many as you, of course, but I've done hundreds of interviews. And if I would say a common theme that drives me slowly mad and really switches me off is when you ask a question and it's a good question, they should know the answer, and then they talk and they start talking about this and then talk here and then start talking here and then here, and then they finish. And halfway through, you've just stopped listening because they were so random. That's my point here. As if they had said, I see 4 key parts, and this is very consulting, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever. It's never 2 or 1. It can be 2, but try and do 3. You know, if you say, look, I see 3 angles here. Angle 1, you explain it. Angle 2 and 3. It gives structure. It shows that you've got a mind that's structured and you've thought it through, and it just sounds really good. And it makes you listen. By the way, as a trick, by you going 1, Two, people watch and look at you and they're listening. So there's lots of tricks in there, but I'm a big fan of putting a structure around an answer, and I think people don't do that enough. And you're nodding, so I think you would agree.
Yeah.
Another trick I've learned over the years, and I would almost say I virtually on every interview do it, and in PwC we do lots of mock interviews, because on virtually every promotion you go to a panel, so we practice panels. So I probably do 4 or 5 a year with different levels of people. And I would always ask this question, and I asked the question, and I'd say, nearly everyone for 30 seconds stares at you and just stares. And, you know, in the world of being interviewed and they ask you a question in 30 seconds, suddenly feels like 3 minutes, like, oh my God, and it's going on and on and on. And so I'll tell you what the question is, and then you'll understand. I ask, just random, I go, what do you think about this? And I go, if you were a car, what car would you be and why? And no one is ever ready for that, right?
A truck, of course.
A truck, because they're big. Yeah, I'm a big truck. No one's ever ready, and that's why they go, and what they're doing in their head, and by the way, obviously someone asked me this question, so the exact reverse, of course, happened to me, but what you're doing is you're going, first of all, I think you do 10 seconds of, why have they asked that? Is this guy mad? Then you're going, there's a secret answer. And then you say, what is the answer? And so 30 seconds go by like that. And you get such strange answers. But the reason I raise this is, understand why I've asked the question, and then it's much easier to answer it. I'm asking you a completely random, stupid question. Why? Because I want to see how you're dealing with it. Do you go, oh my God, I don't know, no. Yeah? Or do you go, God, I've never thought about it. Yeah? And by the way, just to everyone watching this, the answer is it's a Honda, because they're very reliable and never break down. That's the answer. Not a Porsche, because they're fast and cool, because that's not a good answer. Well, it's never been a good answer from someone said it to me. But it just shows your ability to take strange questions and not fall apart. So that's why they've done it. It's never going to be that question. So be ready for the unknown and don't lose the plot. I'll tell you another trick I have no problem with. When I ask a question, and you can 10 seconds pass by and the person has an answer, then they say, do you know, no, I can't think of anything right now. Can we come back to that question? I have to say, I'd say 7 or 8 times out of 10, so very regularly when we come back, the answer is really good. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the person was mature enough to ask for a pause lets me feel that they're mature mentally as well and calm within themselves to say, I don't know right now, I'm a little bit stressed and I can't think. Can we do another question? Mm-hmm. So I like that as well. Never be scared to say, do you know what, nothing's coming to my mind. That doesn't make me go, God, the guy has no clue. It doesn't. It makes me think maturity, as long as the answer's not bad afterwards. If your answer's really rubbish 10 minutes later, that's kind of not such a good sign. I'd say they're kind of the main areas I would always give advice to someone. Be calm, tell the truth, expect the unexpected, put structure. I'd say they're the 4 things I would generally look for.
Okay, and now if this is all done, and then you have at the end a situation that you land the process with 2 equally good candidates, like all this has been ticked, all the boxes are fine, he answered good, she answered good, whatever. What is the ultimate Romek Lubaczewski finger when you put this one? Which is this? What is this?
When I ask the question, what football team do they support? If they support Liverpool, no. I would never do that. I would ask the question, but it wouldn't be the reason. It's a super question, and I'm just trying to think. If you subconsciously, there's probably 50 things, but the conscious one that I would say that I look for, and therefore if it's missing, so I've got 2 candidates scored the same in every other way, but one has A and the other one doesn't have A. What's A? Passion.
Okay.
I would say, if people would say to me, talking about my business, GBS, Shared Services, I say with great passion because I love what I do. I really love it. And people always go, he's always waving hands and he's got passion. Because I love it. And so I'm kind of looking for that as well, the X factor, which is answering a brilliant question, blah, 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 a robot, or someone a bit kind of, but cares. I want the care, passion person. Now, you can't invent that, so you can't pretend to be passionate. Yeah? But if you love the topic and you're relaxed, like I said, then the maturity, the other 4 points I raised, I think passion's a little bit of the equation out the back end, which is if you're structured and everything, it gives you that extra maybe ability to add that little X. And what is it? That you give another story, or you say, but I don't really like that always that way. And that, what is that? It's giving that personal touch, that passion for me.
Definitely. Okay, thank you very much. It was
Pleasure.
a great interview.
Thank you, my
Thanks.
friend.